Page 4, Love Makes the World Go Round. Their chart at the top is a little bit confusing. I mean, if you look at it, but they're trying to explain that fifth finger in the left hand has to cover more than one note, is what they're saying. And we'll get to all that, okay? Let's just look at the music. I'm going to start with the right hand. This is the second line on page 4. You have a C here. You have to use the second finger on the E for the next note, so you move your hand up a little bit. Okay? That puts you in position for what's coming. Okay? So a lot of this piece, you're here. You're kind of moving around. Okay? Now, third line. You're starting out here. Second finger on the E again, because we're back up above. Now you gotta reach down with the thumb to get the B. Okay, and that. Okay, you got it? As long as you're aware you gotta do it, it should be okay. Then in the fourth line there on page 4, you gotta move up. The whole hand goes up, so the fourth finger's on the B. You finish page 4 with the index finger playing the G. Then look at the top of page 5. You're going to play the G again, but this time you're going to move the hand down so the third finger plays it. Okay? You have a quarter rest at the bottom of page 4 that you can do that. You can do it during the rest. Okay? And then you got some more of that same stuff going on page 5. I don't want to go through and point it all out. I'm sure you'll discover it when you get there. Left hand just has the chords. The 1 chord, 5/7 chord. Dynamics, you do the dynamics. It's basically a soft MP. The first line is, the first line, by the way, is an introduction. It doesn't say introduction, but it is. It's sort of a few bars to get you in the mood, to set the tone. Sort of, okay? That's all it is. It's not really part of the piece. You could play the piece without the first line and it'd be fine. But it's nice having the introduction there. And you can tell it's a different section because at the end of the first line there's a double bar. And a double bar is used to separate sections of music. You have a piece of music and it has sections in it. Can have, doesn't have to have. But the introduction has that double bar at the end of it telling you, okay, we're done with this section, now we're going to the next. So the introduction is soft, but then the second line when it starts the song is medium soft. So, I mean, you can get out a little louder and a little softer as you're going through this, but basically it's medium soft. And when we're referring to this, we're referring to the melody, okay? Everything else has to be softer than that because you bring out the melody. I want to talk a little bit about the pedaling as usual. It's the same style as I've preached since day one. On page 4 you get it at the third line. On the third measure, you're here. You're going to push the pedal down immediately after you play the notes. Then you're going to lift it up on beat 3 of the last measure there, okay? So that last quarter note is without pedal, okay? So it's this. Because you have a rest in the right hand. You lift. So basically you can lift the pedal up with the right hand is how that works. Actually, it's the same style as that pedaling throughout the rest of the piece. Every time you pedal, do it the same way. Now, on page 5, the pedal markings for the first line and the third line are different than the pedal marking for the line in page 4. And I agree with the line in page 4. So I would recommend you change those markings on page 5. So you lift the pedal up with the right hand. When the right hand has that rest, lift the pedal up with it both times. They're showing keep the pedal down all the way to the end of the measure. And I disagree. I don't know if they did that on purpose or it was just an editor overlooked it. And it was an accident. But at the top of page 5, the last 2 measures in the first line, there. So I'm lifting the pedal up with the right hand. And same with the third line. And then at the last, the very end, everything comes up on the third beat. So the last two measures at the bottom of the piece, the last two measures. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Everything comes up on 3. We'll talk a little bit about the ties. We have some tied notes in here. It's important that you get those. Right at the beginning, the first line, the introduction, you have a tie between the two measures. So you're playing the G on the third beat of the first measure, you're hanging on to it all the way through the next measure. So it's here. And the same thing two measures later. So make sure you hang on to those tied notes the full thing. Having said all that, let's try this out slowly. Not really too slowly. I'm leaving the metronome at 70 on these pieces. Hopefully that's not too fast. You can play along. Play with one hand only if you have to. So you're starting out right hand here, and left hand here, and the foot's on the pedal. Okay, I'll give you 3 counts because it's in 3/4 time. 1, ready, go.